Hi, my loves. I intend you guys are doing well. I'm sorry if I look tired. I've been traveling. Okay, so this video is going to be slightly long, and why not? I want to talk about states, identity shifting, affirmations, how you shift into a state, how you assume, and a lot of other things. I don't even know exactly what else. Okay, so where do I begin? It was brought to my notice that some coaches are saying, like, you don't have to affirm, just assume. I'm not saying they are wrong. I'll clarify. I'll expand on this. I love to. They are saying that they hate affirmations because everybody is doing affirmations wrong. Yes, there is a right way to do affirmations, but you cannot hate affirmations because affirmations are your thoughts. So, and I listened to some of the videos, and it's like, you don't have to affirm, just assume. Just assume. How? How do you just assume? Like, what goes on in your mind when you assume? Thoughts, right? So you're affirming, right? Just choose an identity. Yes, even I say that. I'll expand on that. But you don't have to affirm. How can you even stop affirming, aka thinking? How? I need to ease you guys slightly, okay? Let's talk. What is manifestation? Manifestation is about you being conscious of an identity, you being aware of being someone, and then thinking from that person's perspective. You are always in an end, either of the wish fulfilled or of not the wish fulfilled. But yes, you are always in an identity. Always. So, conscious manifestation involves identity shifting. If you want to manifest something else, you got to think like the person who has the desire. That is primarily shifting your identity. Correct? Right. Now, the law of assumption. You got to assume that you have the desire. Correct. You got to identify as the person whose wish, desire, whatever is fulfilled. You got to identify as that person. You got to be in that state of being dominantly. So when you are, like we are constantly shifting states, or we are like sometimes holding on dominantly to one particular state. Your state determines your success in getting your desire. Absolutely, spot on. It's not your affirmations, it's not any of the techniques. Your techniques will not get you your desire. Some of you are making this glaring mistake of assuming, wrongly assuming, that you are robotically affirming or affirming something to change the 3D. Yes, you are. However, you got to shift internally. So, I may sound like somebody who's all over the place, but I'm not. Hear me out, okay? When I say decide, I primarily imply choose who you want to be. Choose your identity. Who do you want to be? Because any kind of suffering is due to a mistaken identity, a wrong narrative, as I've already mentioned in most of my videos. So any kind of suffering is, I call it the ego sometimes, or the mistaken identity, where you think you are somebody which you are not. So any kind of victim mode, any kind of suffering is because you are identified as someone who you do not want to be identified as. Then you start thinking from that version's perspective. You start thinking, aka affirming, from victim consciousness. And by affirming here, I mean all your cribbings, all you keep saying like, I'm having doubts, I'm having fears, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do this. This is showing up in the 3D. So what do I do now? All of this comes from you choosing a wrong identity. You deliberately choosing a wrong identity. And you keep saying these things and you are actually affirming these things. Why? Because you are in a state where you feel victimized. Which means, in order to hold that state, you have to be affirming. So, when you want to shift, you decide, who do I want to be? What should my state be? What is my chosen identity? Who is my new self? You decide, you choose. Then you start thinking, aka affirming, from that person's point of view. That version of you who has the desire manifested, or who is going to get the desire any minute now. Which primarily means, yes, you have to be dominantly in the state of the person who is getting the desire or who has the desire, and also thinking like the person who gets the desire and or is getting the desire. Which means states are determining your success or failure in getting your desire. And how do you hold on to that state if you are not thinking, aka affirming, from that state? How? So when coaches say, okay, you don't need to affirm, just assume. You know now, right? You choose a state, you choose your identity, and then start thinking, aka affirming, from that person's identity. Because we are constantly choosing an identity. Constantly. We don't have a choice. The best part is, you can choose your identity. So, let's recap. Let's start from scratch. How to manifest. You choose an identity. You choose who you want to be. And you assume that you are that person through thinking like that person. This is one of the most important videos I will ever make on this channel. Because you just can't assume. Yes, the best part is, actually there are many best parts, When you are choosing an identity, assuming, you don't have to believe in it. You don't have to feel it. You don't have to, you don't have to believe in it. You don't have to feel it. However, you will have to repeat it. Now, there's this somebody saying, repeating your affirmations will not help. I'm not saying she's completely wrong. I'll clarify because she did not clarify. Okay. If you are affirming something, that anything, for example, let's take, I will not give you an SP example, I'll just do something different today. Money. And you are affirming, okay? Forget about the states. You're affirming. I'm rich. I'm stinking rich. I have loads and loads of money. Money flows to me effortlessly. Money loves me. I love money. Money sticks to me like glue. You're affirming. Cool? And then a bill comes up, or you check your bank balance, and you're like, no, did not work. Not working. That's affirming as well. That's precisely why it's not working for a few people. Because you haven't chosen your identity. Who do you want to be? Who are you? When you choose that identity, and then you start affirming, thinking from that identity. By affirming, I mean thinking from that person's point of view. There are lesser chances that just something in the 3D will trigger you that much. Because you've already chosen your identity and decided your end. You've decided it. The end is already decided. Anything else that comes up, which is not to your liking, you say, not my end result. No, I don't accept this. This is it. And you shift your awareness. This is a game of awareness. Who are you aware of being? Who are you aware of being? So when coaches say that you don't need affirmations, they are not clarifying it. And I completely understand, okay? I'm not judging them. What they failed to clarify is, you cannot be affirming and then constantly checking the 3D to see if it's working. Not really. Doesn't work that way. However, you don't have to completely convince yourself either. What you actually have to do is remind yourself. The word is remind. You have to remind yourself of your new chosen identity. It's not about believing. It's not about feeling it real. You got to calm down and understand that none of what you see in the 3D implies that it is set in stone. Cool? And you can change it through how you look at it. And that can only happen when you choose a different perspective. And that new perspective can happen when you choose a different way of looking at it, which comes through an identity shift. So instead of feeling victimized when somebody does something, I get it, you have my empathy, you feel hurt. Instead of lashing back at the 3D, step back. Feel the emotion. No harm done. Because your emotions are not manifesting anything. And not even your thoughts, aka affirmations. What is manifesting for you, I think I've repeated it in multiple videos. What is manifesting for you is the state of being that you are returning to through your affirmations or thoughts. You got to be reminding yourself that this is who I am. This is who I am. And if there is anything, I repeat, anything in the 3D that you do not like, and it triggers an emotion, and you want to cry, yell, scream, jump, kick, do it. Then neutralize your energy, calm down, and then choose your identity. Return to that identity. How? Through your thoughts, aka affirmations. So when somebody says that choose an identity, just decide, assume, and does not clarify, it can be difficult for somebody who's just starting off, for beginners. Like, how do I just decide and assume? In order to assume something, you do not have to believe it to be true. You got to repeat that you are assuming it. Clear? In order to assume something and then ensure that it crystallizes itself in your 3D reality, you need to be reminding yourself, aka repeating that new identity through your thoughts and affirmations. So if somebody tells you, you don't need affirmations, yes, she's not wrong, but you do not do affirmations with this constant anxiety of, oh God, is it working? Oh God, is it working? Choose an identity which says, anything that I am doing is working. Choose an identity to say that even if I'm crying tears of blood, it implies that I'm getting my desire. Choose that identity. Because what identity you choose is the only power you need and have. The choice of identity, the choice of you choosing your state of being is your superpower, is where you understand that you are God. I would like to touch upon something once again. Any suffering. Okay, let's think about this. I've mentioned this, but then I keep repeating. Suppose you're born right now, right? You do not have an identity. You're just born. You do not have a nationality. You do not have ethnicity. You do not have a sexual orientation. You do not have a name. You do not even have a name. You're just born. Think about it. Do this exercise, okay? You're just born. Who are you? You have no stories, no conditionings, nothing. Not from your parents, not from your siblings, not from the society, not from your school, not from your workplace, nothing. Relatives, no conditioning, no stories. You're just born without an identity. and with complete knowledge of manifestation. Who would you choose to be? Firstly, who are you without that identity? If you ask me, free, relaxed, joyful, blissful, happy. And who would I choose to be? Joyful, blissful, happy, loved, successful, rich. Why not? Abundant, wealthy. Now understand. When you did this exercise, okay, like when you were like really, when you really assumed that you're just born, no stories, nothing. Didn't you feel free? Didn't you feel that, yeah, it's doable, I can get my SP, I can get the money, I can get the job? Didn't you feel that way? Why? Why? Because the only thing that is stopping you is the wrong narrative. You do not have resistance. There's no learning to do. You just got to unlearn a few things that you have been taught. You are a born master manifester. There's nothing to learn, no technique, nothing. You just need to understand who you are without any of these stories. Absolute freedom. When you are free, when you are at peace, in this moment, you create like a master. Because you manifest your SP. Why? Because there are no stories. There is nothing to forgive. There is nothing to be scared of. You're creating from this moment and you have no stories. Hold on to that state. Return to that state where you're just born. No stories. Nothing to be learned. Nothing to be unlearned. Just to experience whatever you want to experience as a human in this lifetime. That's how you manifest. And in one of my recent videos I did mention, it's not problem solving. Go back to that space in your imagination. You're just born. No stories. And you're just born right now. No stories. With your SP or anything, health, looks, body, grades, self-esteem, confidence. No stories. Who are you? Now choose the identity. Now choose. And think from that identity. AKA affirm from that version of that person. And you'll see how magically things will just flow to you. You do not need to lift a finger. And I know I'll receive these kind of questions like, what about action? You don't need to lift a finger. You just need to identify as the person who's won this beyond imagination. Let your higher self, aka infinite intelligence, take care of the rest. Your human, limited, logical thinking might think of ways to get it, but the more intelligent part of you, whom you are struggling to trust, will get it to you much faster through the path of least resistance. You only need to hold on or return to that state of being dominantly through your thoughts, reminding yourself, this is who I am. This is who I am. You are none of these identities that make you uncomfortable. You are pure peace, love, joy, happiness, success, whatever you want. Any suffering that you are going through right now is because you chose a wrong identity. And you should be smiling now because you know that you can now choose a different identity. Just like that. That's all. And before I end, when you shift into that identity, into that state of being, okay, your state of being, when you dominantly shift there, you are a different person. Okay? So if you're still trying to micromanage, like, okay, I'll shift, does that mean my SP is going to do this? Does that imply that SP's parents will approve me? Does that imply that I'll get the money? You're still stuck. You're still stuck to an identity which is not serving you. Free yourself. You are way beyond what your mistaken identity is trying to make you believe. You are way, way beyond that. Cool? I intend this was helpful. I intend now you know how to affirm. You should be affirming, yes, like the person who has the desire, but not in a way where you do it, and if you do not get it in a day, you are like, it's not working. Your affirmations should, now if I use the word feel, you'll come at me again. Your affirmations should make you feel good. If you're feeling good, you'll notice it. You'll notice it in your body. You know, like, I've been saying this to all my clients. I think I've mentioned this in my videos as well. If it feels good, keep saying them. Keep reminding yourself of that identity over and over and over again. You can be affirming through your tears. You can be. You will still manifest it. But you know what? The point of making this video is, there is an easier way. The easier way is, you choose the identity, you commit yourself to receiving this wish fulfillment, and then you calm down and think thoughts that that person would be thinking. That's affirming. And I'm repeating myself, all for you. Anything in the 3D that you do not like, if you have an emotion, release it, do not suppress it. And then, or you can assign it a meaning, that this is leading to the unfolding, to your manifestation, or this is not your end. Because it's not. Because you are already committed to the end. You are already the person who's got the end. So anything in the middle either does not matter, disregard it, or give it a meaning that, okay, this is leading me to my end. But there's one thing that you have to be careful about here. If everything in the 3D is triggering you constantly, you got to take a closer look at the identity, at the state of being that you're functioning from. It's you. It's always you. It's always been you. So when you want to manifest something, solidify it in your reality. You got to practice being that person. Repeat being that person. So when coaches say that you don't need to affirm, I don't really understand. How can you practice being that person without thinking like that person? Because you do not have a control over your thoughts anyway. So you will be having thoughts. So you should be deliberately thinking from that person's point of view, perspective. And please understand, my loves, any suffering that you are in right now is because you have chosen a wrong identity. And you are holding on to it, reminding yourself of it and repeating it and going back to it over and over again through your affirmations, through your wrong affirmations and wrong thoughts. I'm God. Yeah, not to brag, but I am. Anyway, that's it. And I know I'll still have questions, but then let's keep it for the next video. Okay? It's been, 30 minutes. Yeah, that's it. You need affirmations because you need your thoughts. But what is determining your manifestation is not your affirmation, but where you reach through your affirmations or your techniques. Where you dominantly are through your affirmations and your techniques. Your state of being is determining your manifestation. However, you will still have to repeat being that self. You can manifest through your tears and stuff like that. I've done it when I did not. See, even I'm evolving. I just felt that I need to fine tune a few things because some of you are missing the point of affirming. You're trying to change that SP. You're trying to change everything in the 3D. You're trying to fix it. No. It's not that. But why would I affirm? Like, why would I even have tears? Why? When I know I can just choose my state. I can just decide who I want to be and then start thinking from that person's point of view, aka affirming. So you do not have to be affirming through tears, anger, gritted teeth. Not required. First, choose the identity. Who are you? Who do you want to be? Manifestation is identity shifting. You got to shift your identity. You got to shift who you identify as with regard to your desire. How do you feel about yourself? A victim? You got to shift. Clear? Now that was long, and yeah. I'll see you soon. Bye. Take care. And stop. Just stop over consuming content on YouTube. Okay? And if you are constantly having anxious energy when you're doing your techniques, you haven't yet decided, chosen the identity. That's why you're constantly wavering. Once you choose, you might waver for a while, but then you'll be done. Cool? Bye. And thank you for being so patient.